The alien ship climbed into the sky, leaving a trail of superheated steam and melted ice behind it. On the ground, June and the others watched through binoculars as the vessel disappeared into the clouds. Somewhere inside that ship, Hana was working at her station, keeping the launch on course. "Trajectory is stable," Bo-Ra reported, monitoring the signals from her laptop. "They are doing it. The ship is actually flying. Around the world, billions of people watch their televisions and phones. The news had spread fast. An alien ship found in Antarctica, a deadly cargo that threatened all life on Earth, and 3 humans plus 1 alien sacrificing themselves to save everyone else." Inside the ship, Hana's hands moved across the controls. The command center was filled with holographic displays showing flight path, engine status, and structural integrity. Everything was working perfectly. "So far, how are you feeling?" Professor Tay's voice came through the communication system. He was at the second control station, deeper in the ship. "Tired," Hana admitted, "but the systems are stable." "How about you?" "The same. Tired but functional." There was a pause. "Hana, I want you to know, I am proud to be here with you. You are the best student I ever taught." "Thank you, Professor. That means everything to me." At the reactor core, Velcor monitored the most dangerous station. The radiation levels were rising exactly as predicted. The alien's body was already showing signs of exposure, but it continued to work. It had waited 50,000 years for this moment. It would not fail now. Captain Day's voice joined the conversation. "Engineering section reporting. All systems green. We are at hour 6 of the launch sequence. 30 hours to go." The ship broke through Earth's atmosphere and entered the darkness of space. The curve of the planet appeared below them, blue and white and beautiful. Hana stared at it, knowing she would never set foot on that world again. "It is worth it," she whispered to herself. "All of this is worth it." But then, at hour 15, something went wrong. Alarms blared in the command center. Hana's displays turned red. "We have a problem," she said, her voice tight with concern. "One of the containment cells. It is failing faster than predicted." "How long?" Velcor asked. 24 hours, maybe less. "The breach is going to happen before we reach safe distance." On Earth, Admiral Song received the news. He immediately contacted the ship. "You need to increase speed. Get farther from Earth before the breach occurs." "We cannot," Velcor replied. "The engines are already at maximum. If we push them harder, the ship will tear apart." June listened to the conversation through the radio link, his hands clenched into fists. "Think. There had to be a solution. There was always a solution." "Wait," Hana said. "What if we change the trajectory? Instead of just moving away from Earth, we use the moon's gravity to sling us faster and farther." "A gravity assist," Bo-Ra said, understanding immediately. "It would add velocity without using more engine power. But it would also add 6 hours to the flight time." Velcor said. "6 hours we do not have," Dee added. "Then we make time," Professor Tay said. His voice was weak but determined. "Velcor, can you teach us to interface with the ship? Like your people did?" "The neural link?" Velcor sounded surprised. "Your biology is not compatible. It would be painful, possibly fatal. We are already dying," Tay pointed out. "The question is whether we die having succeeded or failed." Velcor was quiet for a moment. Then it said, "I will teach you." The process was agony. The ship's neural link technology connected directly to their brains, allowing them to control systems with thought instead of hand movements. For Velcor's people, it had been natural. For humans, it was like having hot wires pushed into their minds. Hana screamed as the connection formed. She felt the ship around her, through her, as if it was an extension of her own body. She felt Velcor's presence, ancient and sad and determined. She felt Professor Tay, his mind sharp despite his aged body. And she felt Captain Day, solid and unwavering like a mountain. They were no longer just 4 individuals. They were one crew working together with perfect coordination. The ship curved around the moon using its gravity to accelerate. The maneuver was perfect. They were heading away from Earth faster than before, on a trajectory that would take them beyond the solar system. But the cost was terrible. At hour 28, Professor Tay's body began to fail. The combination of radiation and neural link stress was too much. His last words came through clearly. "Tell them," he said. "Tell humanity to learn from this, to be wiser than we were, to be better." Then his signal went quiet. Hana felt tears running down her face. She did not have time to grieve. The ship needed her focus. At hour 32, Captain Day's station began to spark and smoke. The radiation had damaged critical systems. He worked through the pain, his hands no longer responding properly, using the neural link to control what his body could not. "Trajectory is locked," he reported. His voice was barely a whisper. "The ship will reach safe distance." "The mission succeeds, Day," Hana said. "Thank you. For everything." "It was an honor," the captain replied. Then his voice faded too. Now it was just Hana and Velkor. The ship was on course, moving away from Earth at incredible speed. In 12 hours they would be far enough. The containment breach would happen in space, far from any world that harbored life. "We did it," Hana said. She could barely see the displays anymore. The radiation sickness was affecting her vision. "Earth is safe." "Yes," Velkor agreed. "Your people will survive, and they will remember this day. The day that humans proved they were worthy of the stars." "Velkor, can I ask you something?" "Of course. Do you think your people are watching? Somewhere out there in whatever comes after?" "I hope so," the alien said. "I hope they can see that their mistake led to something good. That by bringing this ship here they gave your species a chance to learn from our failure." The hours passed. Hana used the last of her strength to set up one final transmission. A message to Earth, to June, to everyone who would listen. "We spent our lives searching the stars for meaning," she said. Her voice was weak but clear. "We found it in protecting home. Tell humanity to reach for the stars but never forget the world that gave them life. Tell them to be curious but careful, powerful but wise. Tell them we were proud to save them." The ship crossed beyond lunar orbit. The containment breach occurred at hour 42, releasing the pathogen into space where it could harm nothing. At hour 44, Velkor activated the self-destruct sequence. The explosion was brief but brilliant. From Earth, it looked like a new star had appeared in the sky, shining for just a moment before fading. 10 years later, Dr. June Kim stood in a memorial built at the Antarctic site. Thousands of people visited every year to honor the heroes who saved the world. Mina had used the alien technology to develop new propulsion systems. Humanity was now preparing its first mission beyond the solar system. Bora had translated the ship's entire database, giving humanity thousands of years of alien knowledge and history. But the most important gift was the lesson. Carved in stone at the memorial were Velkor's final words, recovered from the ship's last transmission. "We achieved greatness through conquest. You achieved greatness through sacrifice. Remember this difference. It is everything." June looked up at the stars where recovery teams had just retrieved 3 small data modules that survived the explosion. Inside those modules were the preserved records of an entire civilization, a gift from the dead to the living. Hana had saved more than just Earth. She had saved humanity's future, and somewhere in the universe, other species noticed. A young civilization had faced a terrible test and passed it, not through power or technology, but through courage and wisdom. Humanity was ready for the stars. And the stars were waiting. The team gathered through the ship's communication system. Though they were separated by sealed doors and corridors, they could see each other on screens and hear each other's voices. The reality of their situation was sinking in. 3 people would have to stay behind to die. "I volunteer," Captain Day said immediately. "It is my duty to protect this team." "I will stay as well," Professor Tay added. "I have lived a long life. I have seen wonders and taught many students. This is a good way to end my story." "No," June said. "We should draw lots. Make it fair." "There is nothing fair about this," Hana said quietly. She looked at the holographic display showing Earth from space. "But we do not have time to argue. The longer we wait, the less chance we have of success." Velkor moved through the ship, checking systems and preparing for launch. The alien moved with grace despite being weak from its long sleep. Through the translation system, it explained what would happen. 3 control stations, Velkor said. 1 near the engines, 1 in the command center, and 1 at the core reactor. Each person must monitor their station constantly during the 36-hour launch sequence. If any system fails, the entire launch fails. "What will kill us?" Jiwoo asked. She was a medical officer. She needed to know the details. "The reactor will produce radiation as it powers up. The shields protecting the control stations will hold for the 36 hours, but barely. By the end, the levels will be lethal." "How long after exposure?" Jiwoo pressed. Velkor hesitated. "Hours, maybe a day. It will not be painful. You will simply grow tired, then sleep." Jiwoo nodded. She understood. It was as gentle a death as could be expected. I will take the reactor station, Velcor said. This is my people's burden to carry. You should not have to fix our mistakes. But one of you must still stay at the other two stations, Tay said. So we will draw lots. It is the only fair way. They used the ship's computer to generate random selections. June, Hana, Mina, Jiwoo, and Bo-Ra were assigned numbers. The computer would pick 2. June watched the screen as the numbers appeared. 3 and 5. He checked the list. 3 was Captain Day. 5 was Hana. Hana closed her eyes. June felt like someone had punched him in the chest. Not her, please, not her. No, he said. Run it again. This is not right. The random selection is fair, Velcor said gently. I am sorry. Day straightened his shoulders. He had been a soldier long enough to accept death. I am ready. What do I need to do? Hana opened her eyes and looked at June through the screen. There were so many things they had never said to each other, years of working together, of quiet feelings never expressed. Now there was no time, June, she said softly. Take care of the others. And tell my family I love them. Hana, please, June's voice broke. Let someone else go. Who? She asked. Mina is too young. She has her whole life ahead of her. Bo-Ra has children waiting for her at home. Jiwoo is needed to help the others evacuate safely. And you are the mission leader. You need to survive to report what we found here. She was right. June knew she was right. But knowing did not make it any easier. We have 12 hours before launch begins, Velcor said. Use that time to prepare. Document everything. Say your goodbyes. Once the sequence starts, there is no going back. The team worked through those 12 hours like machines. They recorded every detail of the ship, every symbol and system. Bo-Ra backed up the translation database. Mina mapped the entire vessel. Jiwoo collected samples and wrote detailed reports. Hana spent her time in the command center, learning the controls she would need to operate. Professor Tay worked beside her, making sure she understood every system. The old man was calm, almost peaceful. Are you not afraid? Hana asked him. I am terrified, Tay admitted with a small smile, but I am also grateful. How many people get to save the entire world? How many get such a clear purpose at the end of their life? I have so many things I wanted to do, Hana said. Places to see. Research to finish. You will do the most important thing anyone can do, Tay told her. You will give 7 billion people the chance to do all those things themselves. That is enough, Hana. That is more than enough. In the engineering section, Captain Day prepared his station. He wrote letters to his family, recording messages that the survivors would carry back. He did not waste words on regret. He told his wife he loved her. He told his children to be brave and to make him proud. With 4 hours left, Velcor released the lockdown in sections. The survivors could now reach the exit tunnel. June, Mina, Jiwoo, and Bo-Ra gathered their equipment and prepared to leave. June asked for one final moment with Hana. They met in a corridor, still wearing their environmental suits. He could see her face through the helmet, pale but determined. I never told you, June said. All these years I never said it. I love you, Hana. I have loved you since the first day we worked together. Tears rolled down Hana's cheeks. I know, she said. I have always known. And I love you too. They pressed their helmets together as close as they could get with the barriers between them. It was not the kiss June had imagined in his dreams, but it was all they had. Promise me something, Hana said. Anything. Live. Live a full life. Do the work we plan to do together. Fall in love again someday. Do not waste your life mourning me. June could not speak. He could only nod. The survivors left through the tunnel, climbing up toward the surface. June looked back one last time and saw Hana standing in the airlock watching him go. She raised her hand in farewell. Then the door sealed shut. On the surface, the team emerged into the Antarctic wind. Behind them, deep in the ice, the ancient engines of the alien ship began to hum. The sound grew louder, deeper, until it shook the ground beneath their feet. The ice started to crack. Steam rose in massive clouds as the ship's heat melted its frozen prison. Admiral Song's military team scrambled to move their equipment back to a safe distance. It is really happening, Mina whispered. The ship emerged from the ice like a whale breaking through ocean surface. It was beautiful and terrible, covered in frost that turned to steam in seconds. The engines glowed with power that had been sleeping for 50,000 years. Inside, at 3 separate stations, 3 humans and 1 alien worked their controls. The launch sequence had begun. There was no turning back now. In 36 hours, the ship would be in space, and 3 heroes would have saved the world. The red lights painted everything in the ship with an angry glow. Captain Day tried every control on the airlock, but nothing worked. They were sealed inside the alien vessel with no way out. How much air do we have? June asked, forcing himself to stay calm. Ji Woo checked her suit display. 6 hours. Maybe 7 if we stay still and breathe slowly. The ship separated us on purpose, Hana said. She was looking at a holographic map that showed the ship's interior. Look, Day, Mina, and Ji Woo were near the engineering section when the lockdown started. June, Bo-Ra, and I are here in the command center. What about Professor Tay? Mina's voice came over the radio, crackling with worry. I am here, the old professor's voice answered. I am in the crew quarters near the sealed chamber, and I think I understand what the ship wants. What do you mean? June asked. The ship is testing us, Tay said. It wants to see what we will do. Will we panic and try to break out? Will we make things worse? Or will we think clearly and find the right solution? The right solution is to wake up the alien, Hana said suddenly. Everyone went quiet. Think about it. 1 crew member stayed alive to guard this ship. If anyone knows how to unlock the doors, it would be them. Are you crazy? Day's voice was sharp. We do not know what that thing will do when it wakes up. It could kill us all. It could, Tay agreed. But what choice do we have? We die in 6 hours from lack of air, or we take a chance. June closed his eyes and thought. It was a terrible choice, but Tay was right. They had no other option. Do it, he said. Professor, you are closest to the chamber. Can you activate the awakening sequence? I will try, Tay said. Through the ship's cameras, they watched as the old professor approached the sealed chamber. His hands shook slightly as he touched the controls. The symbols glowed under his fingers, and slowly the chamber door began to open. Inside, a figure stirred. The alien was tall and thin, with skin that was pale blue. Its eyes opened, large and dark, and looked directly at Professor Tay. For a long moment, neither moved. Then the alien stepped out of the chamber. It was weak, stumbling slightly, but it was alive. The professor backed away, giving it space. The alien looked around, seeing the red lights, and understanding filled its face. It spoke. The words were strange, musical, and made no sense to human ears. But the ship's computer heard them. Suddenly, Bo-Ra's tablet began translating the alien language into English. How long? The alien asked. Its voice came through the speakers around them. 50,000 years, Tay answered. He did not know if the alien would understand, but he had to try. The alien swayed, leaning against the wall for support. 50,000 years, it repeated. The translation made its voice sound sad and tired. Then everyone is gone. My people, my world, all gone? Yes, Tay said gently. I am sorry. The alien looked at him with those large, dark eyes. You are human. The species that evolved here. You knew about us? We hoped. When we chose this world, it was empty. But it had water and warmth. We hoped something good might grow here. Something better than us. Through the ship's systems, the alien accessed the current situation. It saw the lockdown, saw the humans trapped in different sections, saw their dwindling air supply. You opened the ship, the alien said, not accusing. Just stating a fact. We found it by accident, June said over the radio. We meant no harm. We are scientists. We wanted to learn. Curiosity, the alien said. That is good, but also dangerous. It moved to a control panel and began pressing symbols. I am Velcor. I was the captain of this vessel. And I have been asleep while your entire species was born and grew and built your civilization. Can you unlock the doors? Day asked. Can you let us out? Velcor stopped moving, its head lowered. I cannot. The lockdown was triggered for a reason. The ship detected your presence and initiated a test. If I override it now, the safety protocols will assume a containment breach. The cargo will be released. The biological weapons, Hana said. Yes. Velcor turned to face the nearest camera. My people created death in a laboratory. We made diseases that could not be stopped, plagues that consumed our entire world. When we realized what we had done, it was too late. Only a few of us survived long enough to load the weapons onto this ship. You brought them here to bury them, Tay said, as far from civilization as we could find, in ice that would last forever. Velcor's translated voice was heavy with grief. My crew gave their lives to ensure the cargo stayed sealed. I volunteered to remain, to watch over it. To wait, for what? June asked. For you? For whatever species evolved on this world, the ship was programmed to wake me if intelligent life found us. You were meant to learn from our mistake. You were meant to see what happens when a civilization creates weapons they cannot control. But the lockdown, Mina said. Why trap us? Because one of the containment cells is failing, Velcor said quietly. The ship detected it when you arrived. 48 hours, that is how long we have before a breach occurs. The words hit them like a physical blow. Ji-Woo's voice was barely a whisper. What happens if it breaches? The pathogen will escape into your atmosphere. It is designed to spread quickly, to adapt to any environment. Within a year, it will kill everything on your planet. All humans, all animals, all plants, everything. Silence filled the ship. Even the hum of the engine seemed to fade. June felt his mind racing, trying to find a solution, any solution. There must be a way to stop it, he said. You stayed alive for 50,000 years for a reason. Tell us what to do. Velcor was quiet for a long moment. Then it said, there is one way. The ship can launch itself back into space. The engines still have enough power for one final flight. We can take the ship far from your world and activate the self-destruct sequence. How long would that take? Hana asked. 36 hours to launch. The breach will occur in 48 hours. If we begin now, we can save your world and the crew? Day asked, though he already knew the answer. The launch sequence requires manual control at 3 points in the ship. Someone must stay at each station to monitor and adjust the systems. The launch will succeed, Velcor paused. But those 3 people will not survive the flight. Professor Tay's voice came over the radio, calm and certain. Then we know what we must do. The team moved slowly down the corridor, their helmet lights cutting through the strange glow of the alien ship. Every surface was smooth and perfect, as if the ship had been built yesterday. June kept his eyes on the shadow they had seen, but it did not appear again. The air is breathable, Ji-Woo said, checking her scanner. Oxygen levels are perfect. But I recommend keeping our suits sealed. We do not know what else might be in the air. Captain Day nodded. Agreed, no one takes off their helmet. That is an order. They reached the end of the corridor and found themselves in a large chamber. The room was circular with a high ceiling that glowed with soft light. In the center stood a platform with a control console. Hana walked toward it like she was in a trance. Look at this, she whispered. These symbols. They are mathematical. This is navigation. Star charts. She reached out and touched the console. Immediately the room filled with light. Holographic images appeared in the air around them, spinning slowly. They saw star systems, planets, and mathematical equations floating like ghosts. It is responding to her, Mina said. The ship recognizes human touch. One of the holograms showed Earth. They could see the continents, but they were in different positions. This was Earth from long ago, before modern humans existed. Another image showed a different planet, red and dying, with cities that were falling apart. This is their home, Hana said softly. This is where they came from. Bo-Ra joined them, her fingers flying over her tablet as she recorded everything. I am picking up patterns in these symbols. Give me time and I might be able to translate some of it. We need to explore more, June said. Split into 2 groups. Hana, Bo-Ra, you stay here and work on the translation. Day, Mina, Ji-Woo, come with me. Let us see what else this ship has to show us. Captain Day did not like splitting up, but he agreed. They left the command center and followed another corridor deeper into the ship. This passage led them down into what felt like the belly of the vessel. They found the living quarters after 10 minutes of walking. Rows of chambers lined both sides of the corridor, each with a transparent door. Inside each chamber was a bed-like structure, and on each bed was a body. They are dead, Ji-Woo said quietly. She scanned the nearest chamber, but perfectly preserved. The ship has kept them in some kind of stasis. The aliens were tall, much taller than humans. Their bodies were thin and elegant, with long fingers and large heads. They looked peaceful, as if they had simply fallen asleep and never woken up. How many? Day asked. Mina counted the chambers. At least 40 that I can see. Maybe more in other sections. June studied the nearest body through the transparent door. There was something wrong. All the bodies had the same expression, the same position. This was not natural death. This was planned. They killed themselves, he said, all of them at the same time. But why? Ji-Woo checked her scanner again. I am not seeing any signs of disease or violence. Whatever killed them, it was quick and painless. They continued exploring. The corridor led them past storage rooms, engineering spaces, and something that looked like a medical bay. Everything was clean and organized, as if the crew had known they were going to die and wanted to leave everything in perfect order. Then they found the sealed chamber. It was different from the others. The door was thicker, reinforced with extra layers of metal. Warning symbols covered the surface, symbols that needed no translation. Even across 50,000 years in an alien culture, anyone could understand the meaning. Danger. Keep out. Do not open. What do you think is in there? Mina asked. Nothing good, Day replied. He ran his hand over the door. This is a containment cell. Military grade. Whatever's inside, they wanted it locked away. June activated his radio. Hana, can you hear me? Yes, we are still in the command center. What did you find? A sealed chamber with warning symbols. Can you access the ship's database? We need to know what is inside. There was silence for a moment. Then Hana's voice came back, tight with concern. June, I think you should see this. Come back to the command center, now. The team hurried back. When they arrived, they found Hana and Bo-Ra staring at a holographic display. The image showed the sealed chamber they had just found. And inside the chamber, floating in the hologram, was a single alien in some kind of suspension pod. It is still alive, Hana said. One of the crew is still alive after all this time. How is that possible? Jiwoo asked. Bo-Ra pointed to her tablet. I have been working on the translation. The ship's computer is helping me. This is not good, everyone. This ship was not a colony vessel or an exploration craft. It was a prison transport. The words hung in the air like ice. June felt his stomach tighten. What do you mean, prison transport? Day asked. The symbols here, they keep repeating the same concept. Containment, quarantine, warning. Bo-Ra's hands were shaking slightly. This ship was carrying something dangerous. Something their entire civilization feared. Hana pulled up another hologram. This one showed the red planet they had seen earlier, but now it was changing. Green areas turned brown, oceans dried up, cities went dark. They destroyed themselves, Hana said quietly. Their whole planet, some kind of biological weapon that they could not control. It killed everything. And they put it on this ship, June finished. They sent it away to make sure it could never be used again. The crew killed themselves to make sure no one could wake up and release it, Jiwoo added. They were heroes. They sacrificed themselves to protect the universe from their own mistake. But one stayed alive, Mina said. Why? Bo-Ra pulled up more text, her eyes scanning rapidly. As a guardian, someone had to watch over the cargo. Someone had to make sure it stayed locked away forever. Captain Day grabbed June's arm. We need to leave now. Seal the tunnel and bury this ship again. Wait, Hana said. There is more. The ship detected us. That is why it powered up. It was waiting for this. Waiting for what? For intelligent life to evolve on this planet. The ship is a test of what? June asked, though he already knew the answer. A test to see if we are wise enough to leave it alone, Hana said. Or foolish enough to open it. Before anyone could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in every corridor. The holographic displays changed, showing a single message in symbols that were now translating into English on Bo-Ra's tablet. Lockdown initiated. Contamination protocol active. All exits sealed. No, Day whispered. He ran to the corridor they had entered through. The airlock was closed, sealed tight. We are trapped. The ship had made its judgment, and now they had to live with the consequences. The wind howled across the white plains of Antarctica, carrying ice crystals that stung like tiny needles. Dr. June Kim pulled his thermal coat tighter and stared at the screen in front of him. The numbers made no sense. They had been drilling for 3 weeks, and every scan showed the same impossible result. Something massive was buried 2 kilometers beneath the ice, and it was not natural. June was 42 years old and had spent half his life studying ancient ruins. He had crawled through caves in South America and dug through desert sands in Egypt, but nothing had prepared him for this. The object beneath the ice was made of metal that should not exist. It was too pure, too perfect, and far too old. Dr. Kim, you need to see this, a voice called from across the tent. It was Mina Lee, the young engineer who operated their drilling equipment. Her eyes were wide with excitement. The thermal scan just came back. The structure is intact. No cracks, no damage. It is like it was placed there yesterday. June walked over to her station and looked at the image on her screen. The shape was clear now. long and smooth with curves that reminded him of a whale. But this was no animal. This was a ship, an alien ship that had been frozen in ice for 50,000 years. "Call Dr. Park," June said quietly. "She needs to see this." Within an hour, the entire team had gathered in the main tent. Dr. Hannah Park stood beside June, studying the scans with her sharp eyes. She was an astrophysicist and the smartest person June had ever met. If anyone could make sense of this, it was her. "It is definitely artificial," Hannah said. She pointed at the screen. "Look at these patterns. The hull has a specific structure, like it was grown rather than built. And these energy readings. Something inside is still powered." Captain Daewon crossed his arms and frowned. He was in charge of security for the expedition, and he did not like surprises. How can anything still have power after 50,000 years? "That is impossible. So is finding an alien ship in Antarctica," Hannah replied with a slight smile. "But here we are." Professor Tae Yang, the oldest member of their team, stepped forward. He had white hair and kind eyes that had seen many wonders in his 61 years. "We must be careful," he said. "This discovery will change everything we know about human history. We must document every step." For the next 2 weeks, the team worked day and night. They used thermal lances to melt the ice slowly, creating a tunnel down to the ship. June insisted on caution. One mistake could damage the ship or worse, hurt someone on the team. When they finally reached the hull, June touched it with his gloved hand. The metal was smooth and cold, but it felt alive somehow, like it was sleeping and might wake up at any moment. "There." Mina pointed to a section of the hull that looked different from the rest. "That could be an entrance." Hannah ran her scanner over the area. "It is an airlock, and it is still functional. There is a seal mechanism here and here. If we can figure out how to activate it." She pressed her hand against a panel beside the door. Nothing happened at first. Then slowly, lights began to glow beneath the surface of the metal. Soft blue lights that pulsed like a heartbeat. The team stepped back in shock. "It is responding to touch," Hannah whispered. "The ship knows we are here." Captain Day grabbed her arm. "Wait, we do not know what is inside. There could be contamination or traps or worse." "Or answers," Hannah said. She looked at June. "This is why we came here. This is why we drill through 2 kilometers of ice in the coldest place on Earth. To find answers." June thought for a long moment. He knew Day was right to be cautious, but he also knew Hannah was right. They could not come this far and turn back now. "We go in," June decided, "but we follow every safety protocol. Environmental suits, air tanks, and we stay together. No one goes off alone." The team spent the next 3 days preparing. They tested their equipment, checked their suits, and made plans for every possible emergency. Mina set up cameras and sensors around the airlock. Bo-Ra Shin, their data specialist, established a communication link to the surface base. If anything went wrong, Admiral Song and his military team would know immediately. On the 4th day, they were ready. June, Hannah, Mina, Captain Day, and Ji-Woo Choi, their medical officer, stood before the airlock in their white environmental suits. Professor Tae would monitor them from the tent above. "Remember," Day said over the radio, "at the first sign of danger, we evacuate." No arguments, everyone nodded. Hannah reached out and pressed her hand to the panel again. The blue lights pulsed faster this time, and then the airlock began to open. Ancient mechanisms moved smoothly, as if they had been oiled yesterday instead of millennia ago. The door slid aside with barely a sound. Inside was darkness. Then one by one, lights began to turn on. The corridor beyond the airlock was beautiful. The walls were smooth and curved, glowing with soft light that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. The air inside showed warm on their sensors. 18 degrees Celsius, as comfortable as a spring day. "This is impossible," Ji-Woo breathed. "How can it maintain temperature and power for so long?" "I do not know," June admitted. "But we are about to find out." They stepped inside. The gravity was normal, which made no sense. The ship had no power source that they could detect, yet everything worked perfectly. Their boots made soft sounds on the floor. The corridor stretched ahead, curving gently to the right. As they walked deeper into the ship, Mina stopped suddenly. "Did you see that?" she asked. "See what?" Day had his hand on his weapon, ready for anything. Movement. At the end of the corridor. Something moved. The team froze. They stared into the distance where the corridor disappeared around the curve. The lights there seemed brighter somehow, more active. "Could be a reflection," Hannah suggested, but her voice was uncertain. Then they all saw it. A shadow, tall and thin, moving across the wall at the far end of the corridor. It was not threatening. It was simply there waiting. "Hello?" June called out. His voice echoed in the empty ship. The shadow moved again. This time it seemed to turn toward them as if it had heard his voice. As if it had been waiting 50,000 years for someone to finally say hello. The lights in the corridor suddenly flared bright, then returned to normal. A low hum filled the air, a sound that they felt in their bones rather than heard with their ears. The ship was waking up, and something inside was waking up with it.